Much has changed since WHRO first broadcast in 1961 as Homeroom 1 as a way to use a new technology, the television, and provide educational programming in classrooms.
If we place a ruler behind the glass, what happens to the numerals on the ruler?
WHRO Public Media has enjoyed a proud history and has grown into 4 TV stations: WHRO TV 15, WHRO Create, WHRO World, and WHRO Kids. It's expanded to 6 radio channels, including WHRO 90.3 FM and WHRV 89.5 FM. We've been at the pulse of pop culture, technology, current events, and most importantly, education. Everything we do, everything we create, it's always about education and enhancing the lives of citizens in our region. It all started in 1957, the same year the Soviet Union launched Sputnik. The top song was Elvis Presley's All Shook Up. I'm all shook up. And Americans were still head over heels for TV's funniest lady, Lucille Ball. Also that year, Norfolk Public Schools began experimenting with television in the classroom to aid instruction. It was made possible with a grant from the Ford Foundation and resources from WVEC-TV. Ahead to 1961, President John F. Kennedy announced the goal of landing a man on the moon by the end of the decade. Construction began on the Berlin Wall, and Roger Maris knocked his 61st home run. That same year, the FCC awarded a license to the Norfolk and Hampton Public School Systems to operate Virginia's first non-commercial educational television station, WHRO TV. 1968 is often referred to as the year that rocked America. The national launch of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood.
It's a beautiful day in this neighborhood.
The assassinations of Robert F. Kennedy and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Meanwhile, in space, a great hope for the future as Apollo 8 beamed back images of Earthrise from the moon for the very first time. WHRO made history that year, too, as the school systems in Newport News, Portsmouth, Chesapeake, Virginia Beach, Suffolk, and also Nansemond, York, and Isle of Wight counties joined Norfolk and Hampton to create the Hampton Roads Educational Telecommunications Association, Incorporated, or HRETA. This nonprofit educational corporation still operates today. In a few short years, WHRO TV gained national recognition. In 1972, it won the George Foster Peabody Award, the industry equivalent of a Pulitzer Prize, for meritorious service to broadcasting. The same year, Americans were introduced to The Godfather. Jack Nicklaus won the 36th Masters, and Apollo 16 landed in the Highlands part of the moon.
Hey, how about an extension, you guys?
On to 1975. Bill Gates and Paul Allen formed Microsoft. Americans were afraid to go into the water because of a shark named Jaws. And all the while serenaded by Love Will Keep Us Together by the Captain and Tennille.
Love will keep us together.
On the radio dial at WHRO, the Virginia Cultural Foundation transferred the license of 89.5 FM to HRETA. That station then featured National Public Radio, along with classical, jazz, and folk music. In the year 1984, a Commodore 64 computer could be purchased for $799.
Instead of saving for your kid's education, maybe you should spend a little for it.
DNA fingerprinting came into being, and meantime, WHRO also took a tech leap when it established the Consortium for Interactive Instruction to manage regional collaborative education technology. 1 year later, in 1985, the Space Shuttle Atlantis made its maiden voyage and energized the nation.
Space Shuttle Atlantis.
And WHRO gained international attention after the station won the prestigious Japan Prize.
This remarkable species has the capability to solve its problems.
The International Award for Educational Media Content recognized the station's program, The Human Community, Toxic Wastes. That same year launched the Great Computer Challenge, a joint project between WHRO, the Consortium for Interactive Instruction, and Old Dominion University. The annual competitive opportunity for students in kindergarten through 12th grade allows them to show off their knowledge of computers and programming. In 1990, the world witnessed Nelson Mandela's release from prison. East and West Germany reunited after the collapse of the Soviet Union, and Tim Berners-Lee published a proposal for the World Wide Web. That same year, WHRO launched its second public radio station, more news and information featuring NPR and non-classical music.
I'm Dwight Davis.
I'm Vian Webb.
There will be 2 new public radio stations in Hampton Roads.
The station became 89.5 WHRV, while an all-classical music station became 90.3 WHRO. Also, award-winning musician and educator Jay Sennett joined on as jazz producer. Jay is now the host of Sennett in Session on WHRV-FM. In 1994, 10-year-old Commodore computers filed for bankruptcy. Vice President Al Gore made a speech using the term information superhighway, and WHRO-TV became the first in Hampton Roads and among the first in the country to prepare for an all-digital broadcast standard.
You can have that flat panel TV that everybody's always wanted.
In 1995, the Corporation for Public Broadcasting's annual report singled out WHRO as a model public telecommunications organization.
We have ignition.
1996, NASA launched the Mars Global Surveyor. Tiger Woods made his PGA debut, and in Hampton Roads, WHRV 89.5 broadcast its first episode of Hearsay with Kathy Lewis. To this day, the live call-in radio program still brings thoughtful conversation and discussion to the airwaves and retains its loyal listenership.
What we're really trying to do is change the national conversation by changing the conversation at the local level.
In the year 2000, the first International Space Station crew arrived in space. That same year at WHRO, the station and the Consortium for Interactive Instruction launched Virginia's PBS teacher line in Hampton Roads. Years later, this service would expand statewide. On to 2002, and back on the links, Tiger Woods became the third player to claim back-to-back Masters. Entrepreneur Elon Musk founded SpaceX. It was also that year that WHRO and its owner school divisions negotiated a statewide discovery education streaming contract. The World Wide Web was getting bigger. In 2005, the same year YouTube was founded, WHRO began its regional online course development. In 2006, Google purchased YouTube for $1.65 billion, and NASA launched the New Horizons probe mission to Pluto and Jupiter. Also that year, WHRO began a contract with the Virginia Department of Education to operate the Virtual Virginia program.
Every once in a while, a revolutionary product comes along that changes everything.
The next year, in 2007, the same year Apple released its first iPhone, NASA touched down on the red planet with the Phoenix Mars lander. WHRO posted its very first audio and HD video podcasts on iTunes. In 2008, to provide for the next generation of wireless broadband devices, the U.S. government auctioned off radio spectrum licenses. This provided new revenue sources for WHRO.
Tarragon, Sallow.
That same year, WHRO began its collaboration with Landmark Communications to produce and televise the Virginian Pilot Spelling Bee.
Live from the WHRO.
The annual partnership is still going strong today. Also, in 2008, WHRO Education acquired videoclassroom.org, which would grow into the education portal today known as eMedia VA.
I, Barack Hussein Obama.
In 2009, Barack Obama was inaugurated as the 44th President of the United States, our nation's first African-American president. It was the same year WHRO TV debuted Another View.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to
the local program hosted by veteran journalist Barbara Ham Lee, focused on issues specifically with an African-American community perspective. The program transitioned to a weekly radio show on WHRV-FM in 2011, where it remains very popular both on the radio and online. Also in 2009, WHRO's first radio apps were developed for iPhone users. SpaceX became the first privately held company to successfully launch, orbit, and recover a spacecraft in 2010. And that same year, WHRO received the inaugural Education Center Enterprise Innovation Award from the National Education Telecommunications Association, or NETA, as well as the EDGE Award from the Association of Public Television Stations, which cited Hampton Roads Virtual Learning Center for standing out in its use of digital technology. WHRO Education also debuted its annual Writers Contest in 2010 for kindergarten to 5th grade students.
And now, we're introducing Siri.
How can I help you?
In 2011, Apple released its iPhone 4S, just days after the death of founder Steve Jobs. Google released its Android version 4, and Sir Richard Branson opened the first commercial spaceport in the U.S. That year, WHRO saw the station expand its public radio footprint with the acquisition of frequencies in Gloucester, Gloucester Courthouse, Gloucester Point, Eastville, Emporia, and Nassawadox. Also, in 2011, we had our first visit to Downton Abbey. The award-winning British series debuted on PBS's Masterpiece Theatre. Americans fell in love with the Granthams and the servants at Downton Abbey, and followed them for years through sweeping change, scandals, love, ambition, heartbreak, and hope.
It's from Lord Grantham.
And everyone is looking forward to Downton's big screen debut this fall.
Will you have enough cliches to get you through the visit?
If not, I'll come to you.
Oh, here we go.
Back in the real world of 2012, President Obama became the first U.S. president to publicly announce support for same-sex marriage. It was also that year that WHRO Public Media became the official media sponsor of Hampton Roads Pride. The Norfolk-based group's mission is to unite the LGBT and allied communities in support of inclusion, dignity, and equality of all people. WHRO continues to serve as a proud community partner of its annual Pride Fest. In 2017, NASA declared that the year 2016 was the hottest in Earth's recorded history. It was that same year WHRO received a generous $3 million gift from philanthropist and Hampton Roads community leader Jane Batten to launch an all-encompassing environmental education initiative for pre-kindergarten through grade 12 students. To this day, new environmental education courses and learning objects are being distributed free of charge to all 132 public school divisions, 942 private schools, and homeschool students throughout the Commonwealth of Virginia. This is reaching a potential 1.3 million K-12 students. Elon Musk's SpaceX launched Falcon Heavy in 2018, the world's most powerful rocket. Also that year, WHRO participated in Catch the King.
This is the ultimate crowdsourcing event for flood mapping.
The Citizen Science Project enabled students to share an outdoor learning experience and used smartphones in a way that's educational and positive, all while bettering an understanding of one of the most central challenges to Hampton Roads, sea level rise. Catch the King and its school-based sister program was aimed at measuring the threat of flooding tides. More than 250 individuals and 120 classrooms took part that day. Also in 2018, the biographical film Won't You Be My Neighbor debuted in theaters, 15 years after the passing of Fred Rogers. The film would later be broadcast on WHRO TV 15. 2019 is proving to be another historic year at WHRO Public Media. Our ownership has expanded from 19 school systems to 21, with the additions of West Point and Surrey. The Catch the King event is now officially a Guinness World Record holder, and Big Bird is now 50. 5 decades ago, WHRO was one of the first stations to air the colorful community of monsters, birds, grouches, and humans, the place where everyone counts. WHRO is celebrating Sesame Street's 50th anniversary all year long. And also, under that 50-year banner, we celebrate space and our close relationship with NASA and the first man on the moon with the program Robert Stone's Chasing the Moon.
Man on the moon.
Houston, Tranquility Base.
You're looking good here.
I'm Danny Epperson, inside the historic.
Our producer content continues to win big. Emmys, Tellys, Nitas, and many more. On the radio, Dr. Raymond Jones and Dwight Davis maintain quality classical music on WHRO FM, both with 30-plus years at the station. And since 2004, the award-winning Out of the Box with WHRO program has provided the only source for intelligent, adult-oriented album music in Hampton Roads.
By WHRV.
WHRO's membership continues to grow, now at more than 22,000 members and counting. Our commitment to being the leader in providing local, national, and educational content that enhances the lives of residents across Eastern Virginia will never waver. And as that mission continues, we are thrilled to be launching WHRO's new journalism department this fall in response to the ongoing need for high-quality local journalism. Here's to the future. Here's to all of you. And thank you for being a part of the WHRO family.